Hello, good morning and good afternoon, and welcome everybody to this session about the European Directive in Energy Efficiency, specifically about Article 14, which is related to the promotion of efficiency in heating and in cooling. But first of all, let me introduce myself and my company very briefly. My name is Carolina Fondo, and I am a manager in the consulting department of CREARA. As you can see on your screen, CREARA could be defined as a one-stop shop for sustainable energy services. We offer services in 4 different fronts: consulting, which is the department where I belong, and where we provide services of policy and strategy consulting, financial advisory, and market intelligence, among others. We also have technical expertise. We have 2 technical departments, engineering and outsourced energy management, with services of energy audit, monitoring and telemetry, or energy management systems. And by last, we have a sole department for training and dissemination tasks. Okay, so once you already know who I am and what we do at my company, let's talk about the Energy Efficiency Directive and the Article 14. So this presentation would be as follows. First of all, we will talk about the context of the directive and the article. And secondly, we will go deeply into the contents of the article, and the final part of the webinar will be about this, and this will be about the main consequences that this article may have on European markets, together with possible business opportunities for the industry. Well, as you all probably already know by now, the European Union has established a 20% energy saving target by 2020 for members. And you can see specific numbers in this figure in million tons of oil equivalent. So the estimation or the baseline of these numbers was made in 2007. This was the estimation of European primary energy consumption for 2020 then, in 2007, and this was the objective that the European Union set. This is to say 20% of savings as target. Well, this objective was set because, well, European countries are currently facing a complex situation regarding energy consumption, external dependence, or even an increasing concern about climate change. The European Council concluded in 2007 and 2011 that the European Union should set the objective that we have already mentioned, with 20% of the respective primary energy consumption. And the European Council also stood out that energy efficiency will arise, or maybe is arising, as one of the most valuable tools to achieve this objective. In fact, in European Council's words, we could say that investments in energy efficiency enhance competitiveness and support security of energy supply and sustainability at low cost. In this context, the European Union published in 2012 the Energy Efficiency Directive, the Directive 2012-27/EU. And this directive has established a common framework for European Union members related to energy efficiency. The directive came into force, well, more than a year ago, in June 2014, and establishes in the first place general guidelines to help European countries to reach this 20% energy saving target. But this directive is not just about general guidelines. In fact, it includes specific measures to ensure major energy savings. Moreover, these specific measures cover all stages in the energy value chain. So the directive affects both consumers and energy industry, and of course, governments and regulators. The directive is composed of 30 articles, and each one talks about a different perspective or measure in energy efficiency. For example, we have the Article 4 with building renovation. We also have energy efficiency obligation schemes in Article 7, energy audits and energy management systems in Article 8, metering in Article 9, and of course, the one which is important for this webinar, Article 14, with cogeneration and district heating and cooling. We have a link to the whole directive. If you are interested, I encourage you to have a deeper look into the directive. So, Article 14 intends to promote energy efficiency in heating and cooling through the use of cogeneration, or combined heat and power, or CHP, whatever you prefer to call it, district heating and cooling, and also the recovery of industrial waste heat. This article follows the path and extends the scope of the past Directive 2004/AEC, the so-called CHP Directive, which promoted cogeneration technology. But the main objective of Article 14 in the Energy Efficiency Directive is to encourage both governments and users to encourage the identification of cost-effective potential for delivering energy efficiency in heating and in cooling. The directive stands out that the most attractive or the most suitable technologies to take advantage of this potential are cogeneration, district heating, and recovery of industrial waste heat. But of course, when those technologies are not suitable or are not cost-effective, other efficient heating and cooling supply options must be considered. Article 14 also requires national or regional governments to ensure that these technologies, if are really attractive for the territory, must be implemented. Or at least, let's say, authorities should try to promote in somehow these technologies to be implemented. Okay, once we have put into context what Energy Efficiency Directive and Article 14 are, we should go deeply into the article and see what it says. So, the article is composed of 11 paragraphs, and each of those paragraphs aim the member states to promote efficient heating and cooling in somehow. Here you have a roadmap of these 11 paragraphs, let's say an index of the article. And we could say that number 1, 3, 4, and 5, more or less, these paragraphs are maybe the most relevant for the industry. At least they are the ones that may impact the market in a deeply way. So let's have a look at paragraph number 1, which we could summarize as developing a comprehensive assessment of the potential for the application of high-efficiency cogeneration and efficient district heating and cooling. So this assessment has to be delivered to the Commission before the end of this year, 2015. And it is a really complete assessment. Among others, each member state has to deliver a description of heating and cooling demand of all their countries, with also a forecast of how this demand will change in the next 10 years. And we are not talking about a high-level analysis with big numbers, with the global demand of the country. We are talking about a very detailed assessment, distinguishing among different types of demand, for example, households, industry, tertiary sector, etc., with an elevated zoom level. I mean, as we will see later, this can vary depending on the country, but some governments are providing this information almost building by building, we could say. And this demand analysis has to be represented in a physical map, in a map of the national territory identifying heating and cooling demand points, existing and planned district heating and cooling infrastructures, and even potential supply points. Also, state members also have to identify the heating and cooling demand that could be satisfied by high-efficient cogeneration. They also have to inform about the strategies or policies that they intend to implement up to 2020 and 2030, of course, to reach all the potentials they are assessing. And also an estimation of the primary energy to be saved, an estimation of public support measures to heating and cooling, and moreover, as request of the Commission, this assessment shall be updated every 5 years. So as you can see, this is a pretty complete analysis that may provide the industry with a lot of relevant information, as we are going to see in the following slides. So the second article is very related to the first one. Basically, it says that member states will have to adapt support policies which encourage to use the efficient heating and cooling systems. This is to say, you have identified a potential for heating and cooling technologies in your previous assessment, so it is normal that you try to support efficient technologies that may use this potential. Article 3 and 4 are a crucial part of the directive. They develop a cost-benefit analysis in a country level. Specifically, they could be summarized as, for paragraph 3, member states will have to carry out a cost-benefit analysis, which can be called also CBA, in order to identify the most cost-efficient solutions to meeting heating and cooling needs. And this CBA, cost and benefit analysis, should cover not only economic aspects, but also climate, social, and technical aspects of the analysis. This analysis shall facilitate the identification of the most cost-efficient solutions to meeting heating and cooling needs. But as I have just said, these cost-efficient solutions are not only related to financial aspects, but also to social and technical and environmental feasibility. Paragraph 4 says that member states should advocate measures to ensure that a heating and cooling infrastructure is developed when the previous cost and benefit analysis shows that this infrastructure has an attractive potential. So the paragraph 1, as we said, first of all, identifies the potential within the territory for heating and cooling infrastructures. It analyzes where the demand, where, etc. Paragraph 3 and 4 ask the governments to analyze all the feasibility of heating and cooling technologies related to financial, also climate, also social aspects, to determine if there is some technology, for example CHP, for example district heating, that is really attractive for the country. Paragraph 5 is also referred to a cost and benefit analysis, but from a different point of view. The previous cost and benefit analysis was related to government level. The authorities were requested to implement this analysis, but paragraph 5 is related to final users or heating and cooling infrastructure developers. It says that they will have to conduct a cost and benefit analysis for all those new or refurbished thermal electricity generation installations, industrial installation or district heating and cooling networks. More specifically, they will have to conduct an analysis when a new thermal electricity generation installation is going to be installed with a total thermal input of over 20 megawatts, or an existing thermal electricity generation installation with a thermal input over 20 megawatts is substantially refurbished, or a new district heating and cooling network, etc., etc. If they intend to construct or if they intend to implement any type of generation systems as this one, they will have to conduct previously a cost and benefit analysis with efficient technologies, CHP, district heating, etc., to determine if efficient heating and cooling systems are more attractive than the one that they previously intend to construct. So the rest of paragraphs are less important, well, no, no less important, of course, but less relevant for the scope of this presentation. So we will have simply a quick look at them. Paragraph 6 says that excluding from the cost and benefit analysis of the third paragraph, well, it gives some exemptions for this cost and benefit analysis. For example, nuclear power installations that need to be located close to a geological storage site, or these peak load and backup electricity generation installations which are planned to operate under 1,500 operating hours per year. Paragraph 7 talks about authorization criteria for paragraph 1 and 5. Paragraph 8 says that specific individual installations can be excluded from implement options when the benefits exceed the cost for justified reasons. Let's say that if you are a developer and you have conducted a cost and benefit analysis and CHP is very attractive for your specific case, and the analysis shows that you should implement CHP, but you have justified reasons, of course the government could allow you not to implement the CHP installation. Paragraph 9 says that paragraphs 5, 6, 7, and 8 shall apply to installations covered by Directive 2010/75 EU. Paragraph 10 says ensuring that the origin of electricity produced from cogeneration can be guaranteed according to objective, transparent, and non-discriminatory criteria laid down by each member state. And paragraph 11, ensuring that any support for cogeneration is used to achieve primary energy savings. So member states shall ensure that any available support for CHP is subject to the electricity produced originated from high efficiency cogeneration. So they are ensuring that high efficient CHP are putting in place in the country, and of course that our public support to this technology are being efficient. So after having this general overview or this general understanding of the Article 14, there we face this second part of our presentation, where we are going to talk about the potential implications that the Article 14 will have in the European market. As we have said, there are two main aspects within the paragraphs of the Article 14 that we have to pay special attention to. On the one hand, the assessment explained in paragraph 1, and on the second hand, the cost and benefit analysis. So let's start with the first one, the assessment. In this paragraph, this assessment includes the main practical impacts that Article 14 may bring from the industry. We could say that the comprehensive assessment, all the aspects that we have already referred to, the comprehensive assessment of national heating and cooling potential can be expressed as a whole with a national heat map. I mean, the heat map should show the main results of the assessment. And this heat map is, or should be, an interactive map of a national territory that identifies the heating and cooling demand points across different segments, for example, households, industry, or tertiary sector. It should also identify existing and planned district heating infrastructure and potential heating and cooling supply points. And moreover, these national maps have to be public. So we have already several published. We are going to go through some examples after this slide. But these maps should provide the industry with a lot of valuable information. For example, in this image, you can see an overview of the map of UK, and I know that the zoom level is not very high in this picture, but you can see the UK and all the colors that represent the heat demand in the territory. In fact, the directive requires a high zoom level in the map, and it depends a bit on the country to the level that each country wants to reach. but let's say that at least they have to consider municipalities with a plot ratio of at least 0.3. This is a relation between population and surface, and also industrial zones with a total annual heating and cooling consumption over 20 gigawatts hour. So this is the first example that I have brought to this webinar, the Scottish heat map. I have to say that it is very complete. Well, so far, all national heat maps that have been published are quite complete and interesting. And this map, you can see that heat demand, you can reach this heat demand in different scales. And the smallest would be 50 square meters, but also 1 kilometer, 500, etc. If you click on the dot, which represents those 50 square meters, or I mean the scale that you have chosen, if you click on one of these dots, the map will provide you with specific information about the heat demand of this area. For example, in this area, here we will have 90,760 kilowatt hours in a year of heat demand. The map also allows you to see where the spots with energy supply. Here we have chosen only CHP, so you can see where the CHP installations are in the Scottish territory. But also we could have chosen, I don't know, geothermal, hydro, nuclear, thermal power, etc., many options. And of course, these are only examples of what you can get in this heat map. So I strongly encourage you to go into their website and have a deeper look into this map. I can assure you it's very interesting. But you could also have a view of geothermal potential in the area, information on social rated properties, and also a map on district heating infrastructures. The second example that I have brought is the Netherlands heat map. So this map is in Dutch, language that unfortunately I can speak, but it is quite intuitive. So if you can speak the language, don't worry. And of course, with the help of Google Translate, you shouldn't have any problem understanding the website. You have the link here if you want to have a deeper look. And in this map, you can split the heat demand in different sectors. For example, households, small industry, big industry, you have here the options. And there is also information about renewable projects, renewable potential for some technologies, waste heat, etc. And if you click on the spot, for example here, you will also receive specific information for that area. For example, carbon emissions, numbers for heat demand, surface of the spot, etc. I think that the zoom level that you can get with this map is something similar to a neighborhood. But I also encourage you to have a big look in the website and to find more properties and more information about this example. And to finish with the heat map examples, the UK heat map. I have to say that maybe this is my favorite one so far because the definition of the image is absolutely incredible. In fact, I have brought you an image of London. So this is the Thames River, and I think this is even the London Bridge. So, well, with this map you can identify heat demand density and you can differentiate where this demand is coming from. For example, public buildings, commercial heat density, industrial heat density, residential, etc. You can also see where CHP and thermal power stations are located, and to identify the water source heat potential. In this image, you can see the level of detail, as I have said, that you can find. We have selected public buildings, for example. So those are the public buildings in this area of London. I'm sure for those of you that know London better than me, you could even say which are the names of some of these buildings. And you can identify which is the heat density for these buildings in this particular area. So we have said that there are two important points to be considered in the article. The first one was the assessment, which is represented by the heat map, and we have already talked about it. And the second important point would be the cost and benefit analysis. Well, as we have said, paragraph 3, 4, and 5 include a cost-benefit analysis with an impact in two different levels. We have the national level, cost and benefit analysis, and we also have the individual installation level. So, first of all, the national level. Every member state shall carry out a cost-benefit analysis covering the territory based on climate conditions, economic feasibility, and technical sustainability. So, as I have already marked, but I think that this is so important that we are going to remark it again, this analysis shall include an economic analysis covering social, economic, and environmental factors. And the purpose is to establish not only the most cost-effective technology, but the most beneficial one for the country, for the territory. Paragraph 4 says something very important, that the member states shall take adequate measures for those infrastructures to be developed. So, if the government, if the authorities identify a technology which is beneficial, which is attractive for the national territory, they should implement measures, support, etc., any measure that can help those technologies to be implemented. And it is related to the second level of the cost and benefit analysis, the individual perspective. Paragraph 5 says, well, I think we have a problem with the image. Okay, that's okay, another problem, so please wait for some seconds. Here we are. Okay, I was talking about individual installation levels. So paragraph 5 says that a cost and benefit analysis is carried out when, etc., etc. We have already explained that basically, if you're going to install heating and cooling infrastructure, you have first of all to identify which are the existing technologies, and you have to conduct a cost and benefit analysis to determine if these efficient technologies are better for you from a financial perspective. So this analysis, this is very important, only includes economic and financial aspects. So they reflect actual cash flows and transactions from investing in and operating individual installations. So these two perspectives are answering two questions. For example, from the national level, is this technology attractive for the country? And for the individual installation level, is the specific installation or technology attractive for the final user? These two questions are related because if the government determines that the technology is attractive for the country, and that maybe is not very attractive from the financial perspective to the final user, the government, if requested, has to implement measures to be sure that this technology is going to be attractive for the final user. So the measures could be subsidies, technical regulations, whatever, but the government or the authorities have to help final users to find those efficient technologies attractive. If they are attractive for the country, they should also be attractive for the final user. Well, let's have a quick look to the business opportunities that we will find in Article 14 in European markets. And we think this article will impact in a positive way, of course, in European efficient heating and cooling market. We could say that we see three different fronts and three different levels of implementation that should and will foster the market. First of all, from the individual user perspective, from the developer's perspective, and from the government and authorities' perspective. The first one, from the individual perspective. Every user will be forced to evaluate the financial attractiveness of efficient heating and cooling system as an alternative of their first choice installation. And if this financial analysis is positive, so if the efficient heating and cooling installation is more attractive for the user than the other installation, the user will implement the option, except some exemptions that the law considers. So, of course, we think that in the following years we are going to face an increasing heating and cooling installation demand for all these users that have to implement these efficient installations. The second perspective, the heating and cooling infrastructure developers perspective. The heat map that we have already seen, not only the heat map, but all the assessment that the government has to make in the territory. But the heat map, of course, enables developers to identify attractive locations for efficient heating and cooling systems. We could say that this helps to match the demand and the supply. And this could work for CHP, district heating, where heat to be used, etc. So this assessment will make easier the identification of business opportunities for the developers of heating and cooling infrastructures. They will give them information, free information, invaluable information to make easier their business in somehow. And of course, the last perspective, the government and authorities perspective. As we have said, national and regional authorities are compelled to analyze efficient heating and cooling technologies from a global point of view, not only from the financial perspective, but also from social, health, environmental, etc. perspective. And we know that these efficient technologies are attractive, are beneficial for the countries. So we are pretty sure that this cost and benefit analysis, this global analysis, will bring us a positive answer about heating and cooling technologies. So new regulations and support schemes may be expected throughout Europe. Basically because the European Union are compelling the governments to make new regulations and new support schemes to support these attractive technologies. We could expect specific standards for CHP. For example, some countries are already talking about this kind of support. We could expect subsidies or specific technical regulations, etc. So this third level of the Article 14 will come back to increasing governmental support. So we are talking about three perspectives. That individual users are going to demand more installations of heating and cooling systems, that the developers will have better information, valuable information to develop their installations, and of course that governments will have to develop new support, new measures to be sure that these attractive technologies are going to be implemented within Europe. So, here we have reached the end of this presentation. I would like to thank Copper Alliance and Leonardo Energy for considering us for this webinar, and of course for their support. And thank you, of course, to all attendees for your time. Thank you and bye.